Robert Plank Show, episode 198. Practice happy now. Tap into your subconscious mind, crack the ego code, and discover emotional laws with Rene Brent. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. We're going to talk today about removing a lot of your mental blocks and your fear and some of your hangups. And we're joined today with Rene Brent, and she's a certified clinical hypnotherapist. She's a #1 international bestseller of the book How Big Is Your Butt? And she's an international speaker on faculty for the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. She's been an RN for over 25 years. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. So Rene, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I am glad that you're here. And so, we're going to talk today about some of these things that hang all of us up, some of these things that are kind of scary and, kind of mess us up on the inside, and then the outside doesn't quite work very well. And so, I'm excited to jump into that. And I know that you said you're a hypnotherapist and you can help us to fix all of our problems. And so I'm looking forward to that. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So I like to clarify that. I don't fix people's problem. Everything's got to come from them. I really help people educate. I like to say hypnosis is like I'm a professional garage door opener. I help people open that garage door, and I hold the flashlight, and you go in and you figure out what's blocking blocking the door, what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of, and what's in your way, basically.
So we have all this clutter, and you're helping us to navigate the clutter and open up that garage door.
Absolutely. The subconscious mind defines and runs about 95% of your day. So if you don't know what's going on in that garage, then someone else is driving the car for sure.
And that sounds like a scary place to be. And so, as far as like solving this big problem, which it seems like is for some of us is a huge problem to solve, and sometimes we think the problem's solved, but then we have to go back and fix it again. So, as far as like this mindset stuff and your hypnotherapist type of stuff, I mean, what sets you apart from other people who are trying to solve this problem or solving this problem in different ways? What makes you stand out?
Sure. Well, as my nursing background and science and hypnotherapy, I explain all of this on a science platter. Basically, hypnosis and doing this work is just a change in a brainwave. So if you can learn some techniques on how to get into the subconscious mind, hypnosis basically wakes you up and find out what's blocking you. Then you can start getting rid of your butts, your BUTs, and move forward. So I help people start to listen, use the science of their mind and body, understand how it's affecting them. Because if your conscious mind's blocking you all day long and something comes up and you push it down, then it's going to show up in your mind and your body. So I teach people how to start listening to their body. If you got a pain in your chest or you got, nausea or a knot in your stomach, this is your subconscious mind talking to you. Your body is basically your emotional GPS. That's why we have words like gut wrenching, sick to my stomach, heartbroken, because your body's trying to talk to you. Your subconscious mind's trying to talk to you all day long. All you have to do is just push the pause button and learn how to do that and learn how to listen and then release it and let it go and just really reach your goals professionally or business, or personally.
Awesome, and I'm excited to jump into some of the stuff because at least I don't know if I'm similar to a lot of people, or I don't know if I'm different in this way, but a lot of times when this mindset sort of stuff comes up, then I hear a lot of this advice like, well, do these self-care things or meditate or journal,
Hmm.
and those kind of things, like those are things that I do every now and then, and they sound good, but it just seems like I think better in terms of like exercises, or in terms of like like concepts and stuff, as opposed to just some general sort of vague instructions. So do you come across any of that? Do you come across anyone who says like some of the generalities are okay, but I like to have some concrete examples or some exercises? Do you hear any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's why I wrote the book, because there's so much out there. It's just words and they're pretentious and they're just telling you all these things, but they don't tell you why you're not doing it. What's the but? What's the block? We know we should meditate. We know we should exercise. We know we should get to sleep at night, but what's blocking us? And each chapter of my book, has an exercise at the end, and one builds on the other. One of them is called cracking the ego code. You must learn how to start listening to those voices and start talking different to yourself, but we're not taught how to manage it. So this is what I do. I absolutely wrote the book because of people like you who say, you know what, it all sounds good, but it's just words and I don't know how to put it into practice.
And so, what can we start to do, or what things should we be aware of right out of the gate?
So, first of all, understanding what the conscious and the subconscious mind is and what their job is. The subconscious mind's job is to move you away from pain and towards pleasure. So, if you're in fear of failing at your business, then your subconscious mind's going to try to take you away from that and do other things to avoid that. So, it's just learning how to start listening and start managing the subconscious mind and getting into it. And it's only a change in a brainwave. So I teach people quick techniques in order to get and pattern interrupt and retrain their brain using neuroplasticity, the science of the mind and the body.
So, could you walk us through one of those
Yeah.
exercises?
Sure, I could. So there's one that I like to help people do because everybody knows what it feels like when you get stressed, Robert, or you feeling uncomfortable. Where do you feel that in your body usually?
Maybe like chest or throat.
Okay, okay. So your chest, your throat. So this is called the felt sense, feeling the sensation of emotion, energy, and motion. So when you get that, so your body, your subconscious mind are trying to tell you there's something going on. So if you stop and pay attention to it and learn to allow the sensation, you're actually allowing emotion. So think about something that could be stressing you out right now, Robert, and maybe the listeners could do this as well. If you feel it in your stomach or you feel it in your chest, then all you do is just close your eyes for just a minute. Please don't do this if you're driving and listening. Take a big breath in and hold it for just a second. And when you exhale, tell yourself to relax. When you tell yourself to relax after a breath, you're talking to the subconscious mind and it's open to listening. When you take a big breath, then you're pushing on a vagal nerve right at your diaphragm, and that's allowing your body to just find more balance and calm and focus. So breathing is really important. I have a whole chapter is called Breathe or It Can Make You Blue, right? It's very, very important, but it's not like a trendy thing. It's got real science specific information. So when you do that, now I want you to put your hand where you're stressed out, where you feel that pressure, and just send it. This sounds really corny, I know, but just send it acceptance. Don't judge where it comes from. You may not even know what it is, but if you're feeling it, stop and accept it. And when you're doing that, it's a back door to allowing emotion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense and it's kind of interesting. It makes you feel kind of weird doing it, but it felt good.
Right. And you released it, right?
A little, I mean, maybe not all the way, but a big chunk of it. Yeah, maybe like 40% of it.
Sure. If you could just chunk down 40% of that, then you could start gaining clarity on the next solution to the problem. But if you don't pay attention to it, then it goes from, it amps up, and it just gets more and more because the subconscious mind will start with a whisper, but then it gets louder, and before you know it, it's screaming at you. So if you just stop through the day and listen and pay attention to what your body and mind is doing, then by the end of the day, you'll sleep better, you will eat better, you'll drink less, right? Because we get tired, we get decision fatigue at the end of the day. We get tired of fighting with ourselves, and we're like, what the hell? I might as well do whatever I want. And that's when some maladaptive behaviors show up. And that's what I help people with.
Right, and it sounds like as you're explaining this, like there are maybe like small problems or small little things that are eating at us, and if we let them sort of get out of control unchecked, then they'll become these huge unmanageable things. So almost like the way that, at least what I'm hearing as far as the way you're explaining this, is like we might have these things that are just kind of silently in the background, sort of these problems, and by confronting them and paying attention to them as opposed to ignoring them and delaying them, we're kind of nipping it in the bud, so to speak.
Absolutely, because it's not screaming at you. I deal with a lot of business people who are not sleeping at night. You cannot make good decisions. You cannot find your prosperity and your abundance if you're not sleeping, because you're not focusing. You're not having the energy and the intent in your business. So I help people sleep and get off medication. And I teach them to pay attention through the day, because if the only time you're listening to your subconscious mind is at night when your head's hitting the pillow, that's when it's going to talk to you. So, learning some techniques through the day to be able to manage it and argue for your truth and pattern interrupt some of your brain thoughts, then you'll sleep better for sure.
And so with these different tools, I mean, you said a few minutes ago that in your "How Big Is Your Butt" book that you kind of start small and the exercises sort of build on each other. So once someone knows a few of these tools, I mean, like what is the sort of the schedule of the day look like? Is this the kind of thing where someone should like be doing one of these things every hour or when they first wake up, or like how, I guess, how often should people be using these tools?
I'm like go with it and trust yourself kind of girl. So I don't really give people every hour you take a breath kind of thing. You're gonna fit what's perfect for you in your life. So it's just having these tools in your toolbox that you can pull up. A good thing that I do teach people to do is hypnosis or an altered brainwave is, hypnosis is just a change in a brainwave. And you go from a survival brainwave beta and you go into alpha and theta and then delta. Delta is sleep. So every night when you're going to sleep, you're putting yourself in hypnotic state. So you tell yourself or you see how you want your life to be. Then, when you wake up in the morning, before you even open your eyes, I push my snooze button 10 minutes before I need to wake up so I can wake myself up and have that time to just visualize how I want my day. And I see how it's going to go. And I see how I want it to react. And I see the things that I want to deal with. And I put an emotion in there. So I want to do this and I want to feel confident and I want to feel focused. And then when I open my eyes, I've created new possibilities in that day. And I've already given myself permission to act like that day has already happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a sort of like a mind exercise that I don't fully quite grasp, but I get the idea, right? Like that
Yeah.
you kind of wake up and sort of set the tone for the day, I guess.
Yes, because if you wake up and put your feet on the ground and you brush your teeth and you do the exact same thing, this and you'll have the exact same emotions. So you'll insert the fear, you'll insert the guilt, you'll insert the overwhelm before you even get down for your coffee in the morning. So it's about taking the time very quickly. This could be 30 seconds and just stop yourself and say, no, I'm doing this differently today. And I'm going to be focused. And even if I've come up on a problem, we cannot control what things happen around us sometimes in business. We can't control the people and how they're responding to things. The only thing we control is us and how we respond. And if you're trying to do it when it's happening, it's too late already. So when you prepare how you want to respond, it helps you move forward in a better, a healthier way, actually.
And that makes a lot of sense, and that makes me sort of think back like 10 years ago or so when I was an employee and I, went to work with other employees and everyone just kind of was dead set in having every single day be be exactly like all the other days, and that just kind of drove me crazy. And it's not like, now that I'm self-employed, it's not like every day is completely unpredictable, like but there's definitely a lot more variety in the day that than there used to be. But there's also that unpredictability where some, like you said, some things sort of come at me, and as soon as I sort of realize that, okay, well, out of all these things that are happening, a good deal of them are out of my control, but the thing that I can control is sort of how I react. And in a lot of ways, if I react in a way that I normally wouldn't, or that in my like my knee-jerk instincts would be to react one way, and I would make sure to react in a more thoughtful way, I feel a lot happier long term as opposed to the old way of going about things.
Absolutely. And what I help people understand is what false beliefs they're holding in their subconscious mind. So if and those are from younger than 10, Robert. So if you, let's say you had a teacher that kept telling you you were stupid. That is implanted. Everything that's said or done to you younger than 10 is encoded as the truth because your conscious and subconscious mind is open. So if you had, let's say, a teacher that kept telling you were stupid, now you've been imprinted with, I am stupid. And even though that shifts as you get older, your conscious mind says, no, I'm not stupid. That inner child growing up still holds stupid. So everything that is said or done to you or that you experience is filtered, and your perception of the world goes right through that. So, for example, if somebody thinks that they're ugly and someone says to her, let's say it's a she, your eyes are beautiful, it goes through her ugly filter and she hears, they're only telling me that because the rest of me is hideous. You see what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
distorts our message of the world. So if you are in business and you believe that you're not good enough or not smart, if you have, let's say, a client who doesn't go with you or changes the contract or, a no-show for something, you're going to filter that right through your false beliefs, and it can disrupt your reaction to it. Your conscious mind saying, it's okay, we'll be all right. But that internal feeling is your inner child. So when you know what you're holding, then you can let go of it. You can change the echo and you can change your perception of what's happening to you on a daily basis.
And how do we do that? How do we change that way of thinking?
So the more intense work that I do is, in hypnotherapy for sure. And I do Skype work and do a lot. I have clients all over the world that want to look at this stuff. But you can start doing that. And part of that is listening to how you're talking to yourself. So let's say if you're saying to yourself, I'm stupid, you can't do that, and you're allowing that negative inner critic, that's part of the ego, talking to you, then it's affecting you daily. So it's about really taking an opportunity to stop, push the pause button, and argue for your truth. So if you hear something like, you're stupid, you can't meet that goal, there's no way you can run this business, you stop yourself and you say, this is not true, and ask yourself, first of all, is it true? And if you say, yeah, it's true, then you say, is it absolutely true? There are no absolutes and there's only misbeliefs, is false beliefs. So you must argue. And then you say, no, I made a mistake. And what I did might have been stupid, but I am not stupid. And you start flipping those around. And when you do that consistently, you're changing the way you're firing your neurons, and you're wiring them and you're rewiring them in a new way. So it's about paying attention to what you're saying to yourself and your actions.
And I can really relate to that, and I think that that's really good advice where we can and I can relate to just kind of being locked or stuck into the same sort of like that inner voice or the same phrases or the same sort of like reaction to things out there. And so by hitting that pause button and asking ourselves, is this true? And even if we say it is, well, is it absolutely true? Like, has it always been true? Will it always been true? Then that makes a lot of sense for me. And so, as far as like self-employed entrepreneurs come from, like whenever I ask people like where they're stuck, and even when I think of where I'm stuck, it's either focus or it's procrastination. So as far as procrastination, I mean, do people
Mhm.
procrastinate because are they like on the wrong path, or because there are these false beliefs, or I mean, what's the real reason for procrastination, and what can us self-employed people do about it?
It's interesting. I do something called parts therapy. This is a subpersonality that's trying usually to protect you. So if this looks like danger, right? And I'm afraid, let's say I'm afraid of failure. Your subconscious mind's job, right, is to move you from pain towards pleasure. So it will help you avoid that in very tricky ways. It's incredible how smart the brain is, but it's running an old program. So you must start first. This whole book is about gaining awareness. You must start listening and learning some techniques. So if you notice that you're procrastinating when you're doing numbers, or when you're procrastinating, but you'll go out and do and talk to people all day long, but when it comes to doing your books, you're avoiding it, start paying attention to that and ask that part of you that's avoiding the numbers, what's your job? Why are you showing up for me? And start listening, because the subconscious mind will tell you, and it's usually from fear. It's usually from fear of failure. There's a mental law between the conscious and subconscious mind that this book is really based upon, which is the law of the dominant effect, the dominant emotion. So if your fear of failure is stronger than your desire for success, Robert, you will block yourself in any way that you can to keep yourself safe. So you pay attention to what's going on. You start talking to the part, saying, listen, I need to get this done. We're running an old program. Then you start flipping your desire for success is stronger than your fear of failure. You must learn some techniques, and I have some at the end of each chapter to help people start listening and paying attention and shifting that behavior.
And I like that. And by you saying that we're running an old program, it kind of I like that sort of mentality. In that, okay, well, it's not that I'm built this way, or it's not that I'm like messed up or broken or something. It's just that my like the program that I'm running needs a sort of update. And so you mentioned this book, and you mentioned some of these like mental laws and things. So could you tell us a little bit like more about what this book is and what sort of mental laws it breaks or fixes?
Sure. So I started writing the book because when I got into practice as a hypnotherapist, people would come in, they would say, I really want to get this job, or I want to shift my career, or I want to do this, and that the BUT was blocking them. And I knew that I had to get people past that. And I was doing it in my private practice, but I understood there wasn't really a book about that. So through the book, I talk about the mental laws, the law of the dominant effect, the dominant emotion for sure. But it's also, there's a mental law called the law of expectation. And it's pretty interesting because the subconscious mind wants to help you. So if you expect something to happen, if you expect to fail, and that's your belief, you're going to create that. It's pretty amazing. It's not woo woo. This is science. You send these reaction to your body and these chemicals, and then you create this behavior, these patterns in your life. And you still have to start listening to. You just have to start listening to your subconscious mind. It's not that difficult. It's giving us messages all day long, the subconscious mind. So it's learning some techniques to drop in and shift those things for yourself.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense, and I can relate to that. Like if we expect to fail, we're completely going to fail. And I always hear about all the cheesy stuff, like have these goals or have a vision board or repeat those goals, and it seems really like simple and maybe even a little bit hokey. But then it also makes me think back to like if I would play in a musical instrument in band. Like if I told myself that I was going to play poorly, well, guess what? I played poorly. Or if I was up to bat in baseball, if I told myself that I was going to strike out, then I struck out. If I told myself that I was going to hit the ball, it wasn't a guarantee that I would, but it definitely gave me way better odds than just being a total downer about it. So I mean, it sounds like
Yeah.
that this book can help a lot of people. And so where should people go to get this How Big Is Your Butt book?
Sure. So it's, of course, on Amazon. I'm really proud of this book. I wrote it initially for my clients, and then it got, a lot of great reviews. And then I did it nationally. It's been an international bestseller going on 5 months now. So I'm super excited and hearing from people that it's really helping them gain some awareness. It's on Amazon.com. And I want to tell your readers to go to my website, which is practicehappynow.com. And when you go there, you can get a couple free chapters of the book if you're interested and not sure about my style or my approach. You can check it out. And I also have 2 free meditations on that, and I'd encourage you people to do that, because when you change your brainwave, you gain awareness. One of them is sleep, because I said sleep is just a change in a brainwave. So it's just a sleep meditation. So if you're not sleeping, go check it out. And the book has a chapter on sleep, and another one is higher self. So I like to connect people to their higher perspective of how they want their life to be. And it helps them through the day to listen to that reframing. It'll help you reframe the negative. So, and of course, Rene Brent Hypnosis is my website for my practice, where I do Skype and I do, all kinds of stuff for, with my clients.
Awesome. And where is that at?
I'm in Maitland, Florida,
Uh,
actually. But
I
like I said, Skype's amazing because you just can connect to people straight away.
I just meant as far as like the website. Is that Rene Brent Hypnosis? Is that on a separate website?
Yeah, I have two separate. One is, for my book and the meditations, and the other one is my practice. Hmm.
Okay. Okay, cool. So there's Rene Brent Hypnosis, and then Practice Happy Now is where people can find the link to the book, How Big Is Your Butt, and they can get those two free meditations. And I think that, out of all the things that we talked about, I mean, this is one of those things where it's so important for a lot of us entrepreneurs, and it's so overlooked. I mean, especially as far as like the sleep part. I mean, I know a lot of people who try to go without a lot of sleep, and I used to be that kind of person, and I'm not perfect now, but I'm getting a lot better. And then that higher self, the whole getting the perspective exercise, it sounds amazing and it sounds super helpful for entrepreneurs who kind of need to be thinking more ahead about the future as opposed to people who aren't entrepreneurs. And so I think that this is, like we
Yeah.
said, like really important, but also really overlooked. And a lot of people need to sort of to have this to get back on track, to not be putting a band-aid on the problems they're having, and to instead treat the actual thing inside them so that they have a better life, a better business, more money, more happiness, all kinds of good stuff. And so Renee, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your expertise and giving us those tips, those exercises. And everyone should be checking out practicehappynow.com. So thanks so much, Renee, for stopping by the show today.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Please subscribe, rate, and review our show at robertplank.com/iTunes, and like us on Facebook at robertplankshow.com.